and report localizer established runway 27 left, speedbird 232.
245, please.
Speedbird 232.
Shuttle 14 Papa, reduce 180 knots.
180 knots, shuttle 14 Papa. Speedbird 232, established localizer 27 left.
Speedbird 232, descend ILS.
Descend ILS, speedbird 232.
Shuttle 14 Papa, turn right, heading 180.
Right, 180, shuttle 14 Papa. Hello, good evening, heading to 79
Altalia 79 Alpha. Altalia 79 Alpha, turn left, heading 060. Shuttle 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27 left.
Right, 245, call you localizer established 27 left, shuttle 14 Papa.
Altalia 79 Alpha, turn left, heading 360 degrees. Speedbird 232, you can start reducing speed now, but not less than 160 until you reach 4.
Not less than 160 to 4, speedbird 232.
Altalia 79 Alpha, turn left, heading 305, report localizer established on 27 left.
305, report localizer established.
Speedbird 851, reduced to 180 knots.
180 knots, speedbird 851.
Shuttle 14 Papa, descent to altitude 3,000 feet.
Altitude 3,000 feet, shuttle 14 Papa.
Direct ticket 362 Juliet.
Chris 368, roger. Speedbird 232, contact tower 18.5.
18.5, speedbird 232, goodbye. Shuttle 14 Papa, localizer established 27 left.
Shuttle 14 Papa, descent microwave, reduced.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my live stream. We are going to fly from Toronto to Chicago using the X737 project. This is a free aircraft that you can do a search for and get online. However, if you do want to use the flight management computer, there is a small charge, about $20. So I flew the Sirius Vision SF50 a few times, so now I feel it's time to try something new. So the first thing we'll do is pop up and open our flight management computer, and we will start develop our flight plan. We'll just have a quick look at the ident screen here. It looks okay. And we will go ahead and go to the menu, and let's just check out things. So our reference airport, we're leaving Toronto, CYYZ. We'll pop that in. We'll go back to the menu again. We'll have a look at our performance. I would like to fly at about 30,000 feet today, so we'll pop 30,000 feet in there, and I'll avoid the rest for now. And let's go ahead and look at our thrust. We'll set it to mid-range. Alright, so takeoff. I'm going to do flaps of 5, and when we get more information I'll finish it off, but we'll go ahead and set the V1 VR and our rotate. Let's go ahead to the menu again and hit route. We're going to be flying to Chicago, which is KMDW. So once we find the letters, K, M, D, and W. There we go. And we'll activate that. For those of you that have not watched my tutorial on how to use the flight management computer, that would be a good thing to watch. You'll be able to better understand all the things that I'm doing right now. So our first waypoint is going to be GNTRY, and I have the waypoints on the ticker tape at the top. The only thing I don't have at the top is the SID and stars, which I'll just describe there in a minute. So let's go ahead and do that. I notice a few guys are watching, so if someone's watching, if you can just do a type in the chat just to let me know that you're able to hear the sound and everything okay, that'd be great and beneficial. GNTRY will be our first waypoint. And we'll select 2. So that's going to be our first path. We'll now move on to our departure. But first, actually, I just want to look at the legs. Okay, perfect. We got that down. So we'll be departing on runway 23 from Toronto. There we go. We're going to be flying out on a standard instrument departure on Mix UT5. So we'll just next page until we find that. There we go. And then we'll go back to arrivals. And we will be landing at PAN GG3 on runway, I think we'll do 13 center. So let's go ahead and find that transition, Pang 3, there it is. And let's go ahead and find an ILS for 13 center. There we go. And we've confirmed that. So now we'll go ahead to the legs part of our trip. And thanks, Vacation. I'm glad to hear that the sound's working good. I didn't see a lot of chat, so I just wanted to make sure all was well. So again, if you've watched my tutorial on using the flight management computer, you know that vectors is a bad thing. So what we'll do is select this one below and then select vectors to delete it and confirm it. And same thing, we have another discontinuity here, so we'll select the one below it and then select that. And we'll go to the next page, select this particular waypoint. That one kind of buggered up. Sometimes this particular, I find a flight management computer that's available for purchase as part of the X737 project, for some reason, is kind of buggy. You can see it flash on the screen and things like that, so I'm not quite sure why, but we will make do. I do like the plane though, so we'll click this. So again, for some reason, I'm supposed to see it at the bottom here. So what I'll do, just in case it's buggy, let's zoom in down here and do it this way and see if that's a way that we can do it here. So we'll go to the next page, select ruts, we'll go up, and then select this, and hit that. And of course it's going to be buggy, so let's try again. Ultimately what we have to do is when I click ruts, it's supposed to appear down below like you just see there. Now I can select this route and delete it. Perfect. So now let's look for some more. So that looks good. So there's no vectors, there's no discontinuities. Those are the two things that you have to look for. If you see either of those two things, you're not going to have a valid flight plan. So again, if you haven't watched my video on using the flight management computer, I highly recommend that. So let's go ahead into our climb and let's just see what we can get for a flight level. So we have flight level 30,000. Let's try maybe 20,000. We should be able to get, actually I would like to go for 30,000. Actually 35. Keep changing my mind. Smoother air. There we go. And we'll see if we get any complaints. We don't. Alright, the next thing we need to look at is, you can see on the screen the waypoints, and you can see the altitude. So it's saying here my first waypoint's Mixed Nut, and then I'm going to be at a flight level of 14,000 feet, and then I'm going to go to Letor, and I'll be at 20,000 feet, and so on and so on. And my top of descent will be around this ruts over here. So if I go over here to the descent button, I can see my top of descent here in about 271 nautical miles. So we do have a long flight today. We are not going to do a short live stream today, so that could be good for you, that could be bad for you. I don't know what you prefer. And I am getting a couple indications on the screen of the stream not being so great there, so I don't know, are things still okay? I'm seeing a couple warnings about the video output being too low, so maybe Vacation 13, if you can let me know if the video quality is good, and then I'll keep going. And I'm glad that you liked my tutorial videos. I'm now trying to change it up a little bit. I'll be doing some tutorials, but at the same time, I'll also be doing some live streams. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I just purchased a plugin today from the X-Plane store. And for all of you that have problems flying when you want to actually select a taxiway, this is the plugin for you. So first things first, let's go ahead and get a pushback. So we'll press Shift G and we'll request a straight back
push cart on the way.
And once we get that, I'm going to show you this great plugin that I bought. It's called Airport Visual System. It's about $20 on sale this week at the X-Plane store. And it's similar to Airport Navigator, but it's much better in the sense of the map auto rotates for you and you can select your waypoint. So if you're going to be flying on VATSIM or something like that, and you want to know, maybe your air traffic controller says you got to take, Alpha Charlie Tango to get to your particular runway, and you're like, where the heck are those at? And you're panicking because it's your first or second time on VATSIM. What this will actually do for you is you'll get a visual on the screen of where you're going, what you're doing, and it's really cool. So we'll see that in a second. Let's just get our pushback first. Near the Air Canada hangar,
Catch you next time.
There we go. All right, so let's show you this cool plugin I bought. It's called Airport Visual System. We turn it on, and we now have a map at the bottom. So what this does for me is it shows me everything with regards to the taxiways and where I'm at. So I am here, right there, and I need to be on runway 23, which is right here. And whenever I make this full screen, like so, let's just make it really big. There we go. If I highlight a runway, it will show me on the left-hand side the information about the runway. You can see at the bottom the threshold, the length of the runway, and so on and so on. What we'll do is I'll go here to taxiways, and here I am, and I want to get to runway 23. So what I'll do is I'll select that, and now I have my route. I can accept it. The other cool thing is I can do this for my arrival as well. So when I land and you're trying to figure out where to get off, you can do the same thing. So for now, I'm going to leave this as is. Let's resize the window back to the way it was and put this guy at the bottom. So great little plugin for $20. So let's go ahead and start taxiing. So for those of you that have just joined in, we're going to fly from Toronto to Chicago. It's about a 2-hour flight. So that is 2 hours of hearing my voice. So lucky you, for those of you that tuned in. And we are going to not look at the GPS magenta line, which is what I just did, and focus on the line that is actually in the airport visual system. So too late now, we'll keep going and then we'll line up once we get there. So as you can see, as I move, the front of the aircraft is the front of the map, so it's very easy to find your way and navigate here when it comes to the taxiway. And again, this is very valuable when you start flying online through VATSIM or any other online particular system, because you will have to follow instructions that you're given on which runway to, which taxiway to go to and which runway, and those often change. So by having a plugin like this for $20, you can let the system figure out the best path for you, or you can simply basically click the individual waypoints that air traffic control tells you to click on. So that's another thing you can do. So I am using the X737 project. It is a free aircraft. It does come with a flight management computer, but that is not free. So if you want to use the aircraft by itself, do so, and it's free. It's about $20 to buy a plug-in from another developer for the flight management computer. I love this aircraft. I've done a review of it. I love it because I can click inside any of the boxes and it will basically let me type in something. So if I want to type in the altitude, I can just type in 10,000 and so on and so on. So I love that feature. When you're busy enough up in the air, it's a lot better than turning knobs, that's for sure. So we're lining up on runway 23. Here we go. And we'll just stop here for a sec. And I no longer need airport visual system, so I can make that go away, and we'll take that once we get going. Hey Alex, I am from Ottawa, Canada, so I'm glad that you're able to hear everything clearly. So I do try to make good tutorials in my videos that are very clear and easy to understand. And I'm now trying to do some live streaming as well, so I have a little bit of both. So we have the GPS system lined up. We have all our communications established. Let's just have a look at our screen. Our flight management computer's programmed. We're going to activate the auto throttle. We're going to activate the flight director. I'm going to go ahead and set up a speed of 160. That's good for now. Actually, yeah, 160. We're leaving runway 23, so a heading of 230 is what we need to do. And that is good. I'll go ahead and turn on the flight director on my co-pilot side as well. Not that we're going to need it now. I'm going to go ahead and fire up my altitude of 35,000 feet. As you can see, I just clicked inside the box and typed it in. That's why I love this aircraft so much. Let's go outside the aircraft, folks, and have a look at the wings. And I'll go ahead and lower my flaps. There we go. That's a 5-degree lowering. So we have a full flight, as you can see. So get ready. We're about to take off. All right, let's put on our lights. There we go. And we'll have one last look at everything. It all looks good. Let's get ready for takeoff, folks. Here we go. Full throttle, full throttle. I could have used the toga switch, but it's much funner to use the actual levers on my Eclipse yoke.
80 knots.
80 knots. Approaching V1. All right, we're in the air. Landing gear up. Go ahead and put the flaps up. We'll hold it at a 10-degree angle till we get some altitude here. We're about 1,000 feet right now. So I will go ahead and set the speed now to 250, and I'll turn on the speed throttle, the limiter, so we don't exceed that. Not a good idea to speed over 250 knots when you're below 10,000 feet. So let's go ahead and enable our vertical navigation, VNAV, and enable the autopilot. All right, so let's look at what we got going on here, folks. We have our heading set up. We're now on our way up to 35,000 feet. We're flying using our flight management computer. The autopilot has been enabled. We're using vertical navigation, which is VNAV. That is our altitude. And lateral navigation, which is basically our waypoints on the GPS that we're going to. So things are looking good. Let's just see if we line up here in a second. It says we're going to mix UT, which is 25 nautical miles away. So I just want to see what's going to happen here. I should be turning right. There we go. Let's turn these off. And there we go. Another little bug in this flight management computer for some reason, and whenever you click on this button, there used to be an X to turn it off. You can see the mouse kind of goes weird, so you have to kind of click it again in order for it to work. Don't know why. Climbing to 35,000 feet, trying to get to the waypoint Mixed Ut. So we're on our way. And we'll just have a look at everything. Our autopilot's on, our auto throttle's on. We're still climbing. We're at 10,000 feet. We have our vertical navigation enabled. Everything looks good. Let's have a look outside. Looks like we got some wind. Maybe that'll slow up a bit once we get inside. And I think we have to now turn off our lights. There we go. And we should soon be turning on to our waypoints. And it's hard to see. I've been flying the G1000 glass cockpit lately, which is now available in X-Plane 11.10, and I've been really enjoying the glass cockpit, or G1000. I actually like it more than this. So I really find with the G1000 you can really get a better sense of what's going on. So the jets, these big airliners, go much faster, but I still like the actual G1000 quite a bit. We got some shaking going on from the wind. I'm just going to have a look at our different sections here. VOR map. There we go. Let's have a look outside. Beautiful aircraft. Again, this is the X737 project. It's free. You can download it online. It does not come with a flight management computer. You do have to pay for that. It's approximately $15 to $20. Well worth it in my opinion. We are flying from Toronto International Airport in Canada to Chicago in the United States. And as you can see, we have a little wind that we're dealing with right now. We are on our path to our first waypoint. Let's have a look. Let's zoom in. We are 10.2 nautical miles. If you look at the screen here on the primary flight display, there's a green circle here, and it says top of, basically top of climb, TC. It's hard to see there because it's kind of sandwiched in with the heading of 2-4. So top of climb means we would have reached our 35,000 feet once we get to that green circle. You have to be careful because when you get to this green circle, you're now in what they call cruise mode. So the first phase of the flight is your takeoff. Now you're climbing to your desired altitude, which for us is going to be 35,000 feet. And then once you get to your desired altitude, you turn into cruise mode. And then you maintain cruise mode until you get to the top of descent. And you do have to pay attention to that often, because if you don't, then you're basically not going to make your glide slope, and you'll be kind of burning up your plane as you try to land. So what you can do is you can look at this, which is the flight management computer, and you can go over here to descent, and you can look at the screen, and you can see my target speed is going to be 290 knots today. I'm 242 nautical miles away from where I have to start my top of descent. So in other words, in 241 nautical miles, I will have to start descending back down to about 5,000 feet. If I click on the legs feature here, I can see it all. So I'm going to be at 27,000 feet here. I'll be at 35,000 feet. I'll remain at 35,000 feet until I get to runts. When I get to runts, I'm going to start my descent down, as you can see here, all the way down to about 1,700 feet here. So that doesn't quite look right. So if I keep going down, there we go. Yeah, so 11,000, and down we go. So what I'll do is when we get to the top of descent, I will change the altitude to say 4,000. That's a safe altitude to let me line up with the localizer. And then we will start a ILS descent. So we're at 26,000 feet, going about 270 knots on our way up to 35,000 feet in an X-737 project plane, which is free. Let's have a look outside. Beautiful day, beautiful flight. And we see some smoke coming out of the aircraft. Must be cold up there. For those of you that are watching, I hope you subscribe to my channel if you're not already doing so. And if you have some ideas for future training tutorials that I should be doing, I appreciate if you let me know what those should be. I'm now offering the ability to sponsor my channel, and you can also have highlighted chats as well. So if inside the chat you have a preferred thing that you're interested in me showing you while we're doing this live flight today, just let me know. We will be using the flight management computer. You should have a ticker bar on your screen that shows you the status of our flight. That should give you everything you need to know if you want to replicate the flight. And all the stats are up top, essentially showing you all the moves that I make at my speeds. So let's go back inside the aircraft here. There we go. So we're almost at the top of climb, about 3,000 feet away. Going 235 nautical miles. Once we level off to 35,000, we'll start going much faster, I'm assuming. We'll have a look at inside the aircraft. As you can see, the cockpit's full of people today. So we'll just kind of take a pan around the cockpit and see what we find right now. I have my charts. And it looks like we're almost at 35,000 feet, folks. That should let us get much faster soon. 34.5, so we're on our way. So let's zoom out and make sure everything's still running smoothly here. So we are still set to our heading of 230. That's not going to matter to us right now. In fact, when we get closer, we're going to be tuning that to 130 for runway 13 center. We're at our desired altitude of 35,000 feet, and we are using the autopilot in conjunction with the flight management computer. So this particular plane, most planes in X-plane, if you were to simply click on the yoke, it would go away. But in this case, it does these weird things like make your checklist better to be seen, and you can play with this little peg so that you can actually set your checklist. So let's say I was on my landing phase, I can move the peg up to landing so I know where I'm at. But you can also usually press Y on the keyboard, and Y on the keyboard makes the yoke go away, but not in this case, again, on this free aircraft. So if that is your desire, you can click over here on the multifunction display, and it just makes it go away. So again, if you want to have a clearer picture, maybe you want to zoom in on a particular feature of the aircraft, that is something that you can do. So that is cool. So we are going about 225 knots. I would like to be going a little faster. So let's open up the flight management computer and see what's going on. If we go to cruise, we are at an economy speed. Okay, fair enough. Let's see if it seems to be doing something here, not in Mach, in Mach versus knots. So I'm not quite sure what I want to do is in knots, but let's try something. Let's just try 290 and pop that in there. There we go. And we'll see if we can go faster. There we go. Yay! We're not caring so much about fuels today, folks. We want to get there a little faster. So now you can see we're going to start going 290 knots here. So Kyle, you asked a question, what's the mod at the top? That is called Ben Overlays. can download that, install it into your X-Plane, and then you can take that and provide these stats that you see on here. So very beneficial if you want your viewers to know how long you have left of a flight and how many miles left and how high you are. So it's kind of cool. If you look at the airplane at the top, you'll notice I'm at the top. I'm now in cruise mode, and as I start to descend, the airplane will start to go down. So that is called Ben Overlays. I also used today a plugin that I just purchased called Airport Visual System. We will use it again once we get closer to the descending airport, our arrival airport, so that we know which taxiway we're going to take. So let's have a look here. It's been a little while since I've flown these jets, so I would like this little Mach thing to go away. Right now it shows me 76 for Mach, and I don't want that. I actually want to see my true speed, so I'm not quite sure what to do there. I did it once before. We will figure it out again. If any of you know, let me know. Actually, I think it's this one. Nope. This one? Nope. Because that's what you want to do in an aircraft, right, folks? Click a button and have it go down. Nope. Nope. So let's do a little research and find out what that is. So we were going to figure out in a 737 change from Mach to knots. And our first waypoint, GNTRY, is up. And we are doing that. So I'm looking around. If anyone knows in the chat, let me know. I am trying to figure out how to change my MCP from the 75 here that I see at the left to show me the actual speed in knots. And it should be up here, but things are not always as they seem, I guess. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know. If not, I will do a couple Googles. So what I'll do is I'll put on some music and we'll look at some scenery, and I will try to figure out how to switch between Mach and knots. Alright folks, I'm back, and I did a little research as I was wondering how to figure out to change between indicated airspeed, IAS, and knots. What I found out is I have no idea. That's what I found out. So one site says I'm supposed to press the speed button, another site says I'm supposed to do something else, but there must be something around here. So I figured instead of reading, we will look for some buttons. So Kyle, I also answered your question. There's a site called eadt.eu, and you can download this particular plane there for free, but like I mentioned, it does not come with a multifunction display, or primary flight computer. You do have to buy that for about $15 to $20. So not a big deal. It's well worth it in this plane. I really like how you can simply click a button and type whatever you want in there. I read another article that said once you are above 35,000 feet, then what happens is it changes from a IAS to Mach speed. So I can't say for sure if that is correct or not, but if any of you happen to know, let me know. So we are flying in something called the X737 project. I created a flight plan using simbrief.com. So for those of you that don't know what SimBrief is, you can go to this website, simbrief.com. You create an account, and then you can create a flight plan. So today's flight plan is on the ticker bar. However, if you guys are interested in seeing the plan, I can go ahead and actually open SimBrief on the screen for you and show you that. So if you guys are interested and you want to see it, let me know. I can actually do the live flight plan while we're en route to Chicago. So I'll leave that up to you guys in the chat to let me know if that's something that you would like to see, or if you just like to see the view of me flying. Both are okay for me. So as I mentioned, this comes with a primary flight computer, like a flight management computer, but you have to buy it, but the plane itself is actually free. So I am actually going to show you there. I'm going to fire up SimBrief and show you. We have a bit of time because we are flying for about 2 hours today, folks. 2 hours. So I am flying on a Qantas Spirit of Australia. That is the livery that I'm flying right now, Caleb. So what I'll do, I'm going to pop over here to my web browser. So just give me a second. There we go. This is SimBrief, folks. What I did to create the flight plan for this flight is I went into here and I went to depart and I typed in CYYZ for Toronto. I then went ahead and typed in KMDW for Chicago. I selected a Boeing 737-800, although I'm flying a 700 today. And then it gave me a bunch of options here. So I have my runway that I'm departing from. In our case, it was 23, and the runway we're arriving at Chicago, and this remains the same, 13C. My taxi in and taxi out, and my actual route. So what I'm going to do is I'll remove the jetway because it's not necessary for me right now, and I'll hit Analyze Route. And now I have the actual flight plan that we're flying today. So a few things I'll point out here. If you look at the first part, it has a 5 at the end, and if you look at the last part, it has a 3 at the end. What these things are called are SIDs and stars. So a SID is a standard instrument departure, and a star is a standard approach, basically. So this is a specific pattern that I would need to follow to leave the airport, and this is a pattern I would need to follow to the airport. So if you ever create a flight plan and you see a number at the end, it's either a SID or a star, and that's cool. I just see another aircraft passing me on my other screen. And then these points between here are waypoints. So I could just simply copy this and manually type these into my flight management computer, but if you're lazy, you can go ahead and generate an OPP and say yes, And what this will actually do is generate a complete PDF package for me. It'll give me all the information I need, fuel, map, you name it. But what is best is down here, right at the bottom, I can download an FMS file. And if I put that into my output FMS folder, I will not even have to do anything. I can just basically load that flight plan right into my flight management computer and not have to type in any waypoints. So that is why SimBrief is so spectacular, because it lets you basically kind of cheat the system. You don't have to type all these things in. So it's really cool. That's why I like SimBrief. So again, if you don't have a account, simbrief.com, I highly recommend it. So back to our flight we go. We are 33 minutes away from our airport, 235 nautical miles away. Let's jump inside the cockpit and have a look around. So we'll zoom in here on the MCP. We're going 250 knots. We're at 35,000 feet. We are 228 nautical miles away from our next waypoint, and everything is good. Let's have a look at our flight management computer. We always have to be concerned here of our progress, because we need to know where our top of descent is. So we still have quite a ways to go here for our top of descent. And if I look here at descent, we got about 111 nautical miles. This is very, very, very important, folks. If you mess this up, you will probably not land, because the pitch to land at the airport will be too high. So you have to pay close attention to the top of descent. When we look over here at the actual flight display, once I get my controls right here, when we look at this, when we get closer, we will see a green circle that says T/D for top of descent. And when we reach that, we're going to have to make a couple moves, essentially, to get it right. But for now, we have some time, so there's no rush. Looking at our ticker tape here, we're 225 nautical miles away. We have lots of fuel. Let's have a look at the engine information to make sure everything's okay here. So our pressures, we are at 97% engine power right now, N1 and N2. All our pressures look okay. Let's go ahead and click the system screen over here and get some more information on our screen. And everything else looks okay as well. Any questions from the chat that you guys have for me today? I'll recap. We're flying from Toronto to Chicago. I'm doing a live stream using X-Plane 11. I'm flying a free aircraft called the X737 project. It has a ton of high-def liveries. It is awesome. So I really like that particular airplane. In fact, what I'll do, I will bring it up on the screen for you because we still got some time. So this is where we left off, our SimBrief here. Let's just open up another tab. This is the website where you can basically download this free aircraft. You go up here to products and then X737 project, and then you can either do the 700 or the 800. They've both been updated as of like 3 days ago. So if you look, sorry, not 3 days, about a month ago, January 12th. So it's pretty new aircraft here, specifically updated for X-Plane 11. So if you want to download that, you go to X737 project, pick the one you want. I really like the 700, and then go to aircraft. You'll now be given a download page. You can download a aircraft for X-Plane 10 and one for X-Plane 11. Then if you look a little bit further here, they have get your favorite airline livery here. If you click there, you can then go and see all liveries or just the high resolution ones. I like the high resolution ones. And then you can download all these different liveries here. There is even one, I think it's on the 800, for a special WestJet Disney Vacations livery, and it's really neat looking. So again, you can download this livery, put it into the livery folder, away you go. Let's go ahead and look at the 800 here. So we'll go to liveries. we'll say get liveries now, and we'll just look at them all. And we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. You can see pretty much every single airline is covered here. And there you go, WestJet Disney. This is a beautiful livery. Highly recommend the 737-800 plus this livery. It is really good. The other thing I'll show you is the flight management computer. This is the only con, but it's expected. The developer has to make something. If you want to use the flight management computer, you do have to buy it. You can buy a universal flight management computer, UFMC, which will work in any aircraft, but this does not work in the X737. Or you can buy the one that does work for the X737, and you can see it here. So I purchased this. It was rather inexpensive. Don't get confused when you go down here. This is getting the aircraft for free, not actually getting the flight management computer for free. You would have to go over here to purchase, and you can see here it's about 20 euros. So whatever that ends up in your currency. So I do recommend that. Be careful again when you see it. This is the universal one. It does not work in the X737. This is the one that you're going to want, called X737 FMC for X-Plane 10.XX. So again, that is my favorite combination that I'd recommend. So if you don't have a flight management computer, that is the one that I would recommend getting for now. Back on our flight, we're having a look at the cabin. I see a whole crew, all our flight attendants rushing to get everyone drinks and keep them calm because of the rough winds. Okay, I'm lying. So we'll look outside, have a nice look. Things are looking pretty good on the left-hand side of the aircraft. Any questions for me in the chat today? Hey, AZ. Yeah, so actually I did a review of both the 737, and I did one of the default 737 that comes with X-Plane 11. And I also did one of the Zibbo mod. I guess here's the big thing. If I jump into the cockpit here, what I really enjoy with the default, or with the X737, and really this is the only reason why I love this plane so much, two things. One, I click in the box, I can type anything I want. So let's say we know that when we get to Chicago, we'll be flying to runway 13 center. So I can go ahead, click in the box, it turns green, I type 130. That is why I love this aircraft. So there's enough things to do when you're in the cockpit. The last thing you want to do is have more work. This is amazing. The other cool feature this particular aircraft has, whenever you land, it plays a attendant video. So, not video, audio. So you know that great sound that everyone hears when you're in the aircraft, the flight attendant tells you to buckle your seat belts and, you know, check your overhead bins and all these fun stuff. It'll play that sound when you land, so that's kind of cool. With that said, the Zibbo mod is the default 737 aircraft that comes with X-Plane 11, but with all the bugs fixed. So you don't need a separate flight management computer. There's nothing really to buy. Everything kind of works as it should. The con to it, though, is it's updated like every single day. So you could download a version of it where it's not stable, and the next day it's stable, and the next day it's something else wrong with it. So I really appreciate what the developers are doing to this particular product. It's amazing, the Zibbo mod. But because it's updated so frequently, that is kind of a negative as well. You really have to read the release notes to find out if that specific version is safe to download. The Zibbo mod is good. It's way better than default. The default has a lot of bugs. VNAV doesn't work properly in my mind. So again, go check out my tutorials. It's been maybe 4 or 5 months since I looked at those two aircraft, so I'm sure a lot has changed since then. But go back and check out the reviews that I've done on both those, and you'll see the comparisons that I put together. All right, we'll go ahead and put on some tunes while we get close to the top of descent, and we'll go from there. So again, if anyone has any questions for me, let me know. All right, Bill, actually, you just caught something really interesting. That actually is not the ailerons. That is actually, I think, the speed brakes. Yes, it is. Let's check it out. For some reason, I must have used the wrong lever. Here we go, speed brakes. So what I'll do is I'll leave it here, and we'll go look at the wing again, and I'll close the speed brakes. There we go. Awesome. Good catch, Bill. Good catch. Good idea not to fly with the speed brakes on, folks. That is a good idea. All right, look at this. We are approaching our top of descent, folks. This is a very important piece of things that we have to keep attention to. So you can see on the screen T/D with the circle, top of descent. There is a lot of talk in the forums about how to properly have the aircraft automatically descend for you, and depending on which form you read, an Airbus and a Boeing behaves differently. An X-plane, they're both the same, but it is a little different depending on what you're doing. So what we'll do here is I will get ready and I'll show you how you go about preparing for a top of descent. We will go over to the altitude page, and let's open up our flight management computer, and let's get an idea here at our lowest altitude that we're going to have to be able to go to. So we're going to be about 1100. Let's just keep looking here. I see 2126. You know what? I'm not comfortable going any lower than about 4,000. So what we'll do, I'll move this guy back over here. We're going to go into the altitude box and type 0500 right now. Actually, 0400. And what that just did, folks, is made it so I can go back to bed, essentially. No, I'm just joking. So ultimately what that did was told the aircraft that whenever you get to this top of descent point here, because the altitude has now been lowered, that I'm giving the aircraft permission to start the descent. So the very second we get to this T/D, if I had not have changed the altitude to a lower altitude, it would have not have started my descent. So that is a very important piece of information to pay attention to. We're going to have some fun. So once we start descending, we're going to go and open up the airport visual system that I just purchased today. We're going to plan for our taxiway, so that this way when we actually land, we'll know where to go to which gate. Then we're going to look at our map and make sure that we're actually going somewhere close to where we're supposed to be going to. And then we'll start looking at the ILS frequencies to make sure that we have a ILS for our glide slope. So again, here we go. Pay close attention when we hit the TD over here. Our 35,000 feet will start dropping. You'll see the artificial horizon there start to pitch to about a -10 degrees. So we're getting very close here. There we go. We just hit it. Look here, we're now starting to automatically descend. So between now and our landing, we're now descending. So that's pretty much all it is. As long as you pay attention to the top of descent, you're good. So while we're descending, let's go ahead and play with a few things. So we'll go to plugins. You may not be able to see this because the ticker tape at the top is on. We're going to turn on this and type in our destination airport here. We are going to KMDW, and we're going to be flying into 13 Center. So that is this guy right here. So let's plan our taxi. So what we'll do is, where can we taxi off to? We will taxi off right about here. So let's accept this. And I would like to taxi here. So is this going to let me do it? What I will do is I would like to go from here but perhaps this airport does not let me do it. This one does not seem to have... Oh, something came up here, folks. Just give me a second. This is a new plugin, so I'm not quite familiar with this. This is called Airport Visual System. I just bought it about an hour ago. It's supposed to let me... Oh, there we go. So I picked 13C. There we go. And I would like to park right here. And go here. But it doesn't want to let me do that. So let's do that again. There. We'll say taxiways. So I might have to play around a little bit. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know if I have to get closer. But it is a little strange. So I'm supposed to be coming in here to 13 Charlie. Maybe if we make this bigger, life will be a little easier. We'll see. Here it is. 13 Charlie is where we're coming in. We're going to go to taxiways. And I should be able to specify the path I want to go. Now again, this is based on the navigation data that's inside X-Plane, so it's more than likely that the taxi routes for Chicago are not up to date. I'm going to have to check that out, but it is a little strange. It is a little strange. So we're going to keep it open because it's cool, and I want to look at this thing that I spent $20 on, and whenever we land, we will center it, and even though we can't necessarily get to a particular taxiway that we're going to have, we will do that later. We're at 28,000 feet. Our speed has now auto-shifted, so that's correct. What I read about after being above 31,600 feet, it turns to Mach instead of knots. Turns out to be correct because the second I'm now below that. There we go. We're at 288 knots. Let's open up our map, folks. There I am. Where are we going? Where are we going? We are going somewhere. Maybe to this mesh of things over here. This is not it, that's for sure. Alright, so we're too far away, so I can't see where we're going. So let's just kind of think about things here and make sure we're on the right track. So our speed is 290. We're going down to 4,000 feet. We're at 26,000 feet. Our next waypoint is Run TS, and it's 82 nautical miles away. So we get a bit of time to think yet. We're down to our engine thrust of 35% because, you know, we're descending, so we don't need such a high speed. Oil temperatures and everything are okay. And we're good to go. So if we look here at our flight management computer, we have one waypoint left after this one, Hobel, and then we're lining up to the runway. So hopefully when we get a little closer, we'll be able to do that. Beautiful sun. Let's have a look at the sun here and look at some of the scenery. Just happens to be a airport below us there, folks. See there. There we go. That's not our airport, but there's one below us. So we're on our descent to Chicago, coming in for a runway coming in for a landing on runway 13 Charlie. We'll be hopefully taxiing at 08 to the gate for a 1.5 hour flight according to SimBrief. I am looking right now at the screen. We're about an hour and 5 into our stream. So maybe about an hour and a half, the way it's looking. All in all, so far we didn't have a lot of problems. The last couple live streams I did, I used the Sirius SF50. We're flying the X737 project, which I showed you guys. You can download for free with a €20 purchase for a flight management computer. There's no pilot inside. It's all magic, folks. And we're at 22,000 feet right now. coming into Chicago. It's a beautiful day. The sun is setting. The sky is looking really good, and we're coming in over some nice water. Once we get below 10,000 feet, the law says our speed has to be 250 knots. Because that's all part of the flight management computer, I don't have to worry about that. You can control that yourself, so if you want to, you can go down here to your flight management computer, and you can go over here to your descent, and descent over here, and that's the target speed for your descent. You can change it if you like. It's 288. You can change it to something else. You can see here 250 under 10,000. That's what I was talking to you about. If you don't want it to be 250, maybe you want it to be 220. You can do that. Just type 220. We'll do that. 220. Pop it right in there. I guess I missed something here. So we'll have to look at why that is not accepting that. Do I have to go? Maybe I have to go 250, 220. 220 and then a slash 10,000 perhaps. Let's try that. It took it but didn't take it, so I'll have to look into that. Again, there's always bugs, so whether you're using Zippo mod, whether you're using the X737 project, doesn't matter what you're using, there's always a bug in some of them. Some of these flight management computers gets really advanced. Thanks Stop, appreciate that. Hope we have a successful landing too. This is not a pre-tested trip, so I'm hoping for the best. Things are looking really pretty. Really nice graphics since the update to X-Plane 11.10. For those of you that have not taken the update, I highly recommend downloading the latest version. It comes with a glass cockpit, a G1000 that you can use in your Cessna, and also the Sirius Vision jet. We are flying here and into the sunset as we descend down to 4,000 feet. I think it's close time to turn on our landing lights and get prepped, but I'd like to get a little closer. So now we're 50 nautical miles away, so are we getting somewhere? I'm trying to look for KMDW. Here we go, KMDW, there we go, 31. That's not where we're going though. We are going to 13. That is 13 Charlie right here. So let's go ahead and tune nav 1 and nav 2 to our ILS frequencies and try to figure out what my plane is going to be doing, because I'm going in here. So if that's the case, let's just look this through. So I am going to a waypoint of ruts. So we'll go to the legs part. Then I'm going to HOBEL and then the runway. So let's see where HOBEL is. So this is, let's see, where am I? Where am I? Here we go. Where is HOBEL? I don't see it. But it says I'm going to ruts, so maybe I'll find that first. If any of you guys see it on the screen while I'm doing that, let me know. Hey Matt, good question. If you go to X-Plane 11's website, you can download something called an auto updater. It checks all your files and only updates the files necessary, so you don't have to download that big large package again. So that's how you update your package without downloading it again. So looking here, I am looking for ruts, R-U-T-S. Folks, do you see this? I don't. I do not see ruts because I am not getting the warm and fuzzies here that I'm going to be, oh, here we go. Runts. Aha. Okay. All right. And then the other waypoint was Hobel. Where's Hobel? Here we go. Okay, so I'm a little confused. I thought I was going to be landing on runway 13. I guess I'm not going to be doing that. I guess I'm going on 31 Charlie. So, change of plans, folks. We are going to be landing at 31 Charlie, so let's tune that into our ILS. And so we're basically going right here to the runts waypoint. Then we're going to Hobel. I'm pretty sure if I scroll back to the first part of this video later that I made a mistake when I went to my flight management computer. And we'll check that now. If I go here, I bet you I did something dumb, like collect number 31. So it's already set up now, but let's go back here to legs. Yes, there we go, 31 Charlie. So my fault, I did that. So I was supposed to pick 13 and the flight management computer would have lined me up for that, but no biggie, this is even easier. It's just I'm not going into the wind, so it'll make landing a little harder. So we are 35 nautical miles away. We are getting ready to land. We are getting ready to land. I'm a newcomer myself, Matt. I'm not an actual pilot. I like to be down the road. I'm an IT guy. I manage lots and lots of computers. So this is a fun hobby. So because I'm into tech stuff, I really enjoy getting into the weeds of this stuff. So I read the various manuals for this stuff, but I do make mistakes. So I do like live streaming because the real pilots that are in the channel, they correct me, just like Mill did earlier where he noticed the ailerons were up. It turned out to be the speed brake. So we all learn together is what it's all about. So I'm learning, and then essentially I'm creating the tutorials. So this is kind of for fun. The live streams, I'm doing this for fun. No offense taken there, Mill. Or Matt. So I'm doing this for fun myself, but when I do the tutorials, I really do them concise. So I probably spend 2 hours doing a 10-minute video because I want it bang on. So you don't have to watch 50 videos. You just watch the one video. And I'm doing it partially for myself too, because I, being in IT, will bounce around between gaming and this and that and something else. So when I come back to X-Plane from maybe a break to do something else and I forget, I can go back, watch my own videos and catch up and remember what the heck I learned. So it's kind of cool. All right, folks, let's have a look. The next piece that we'll want to pay attention to. We're almost below 10,000 feet. The aviation law, I'll say, whatever you want to call it, is essentially you have to be at 250 knots when you're below 10,000 feet. So magically, because of my flight management computer, that's just going to do that for me. So that's awesome. And if you look to the right here, what do we got going on? What do we got going on? I can tell you what we got going on. We're going to go straight into Runts. We're going to make a slight right turn to Hobel, and we'll either crash or land. That's what will happen. And if we do end up towards a crash, we'll click the abort flight plan and do a come around. I've never done one of those before, so perhaps another time I might want to practice that before a live stream. But to show you how much fun we have on our live streams, folks, about 3 live streams ago, go back and look for it. Look for the one that says parachute. I'm in a Cirrus Vision SF50, and one of the guys in the chat says, hey, can you click on this button up here? I'm like, yeah, sure. And that's the last time I listened to live questions. I'm just kidding. I click the button. The next thing that happens, a parachute comes out of the airplane, and I'm now parachuting to the ground. So the Cirrus Vision SF50, which is free and included in X-Plane 11, comes with a parachute, guys. So get in there, take that off to 10,000 feet, look at the very top of the roof of the aircraft, and there's a big red lever. Pull that sucker out, and then zoom outside your aircraft, turn off your engines, and you'll be parachuted down to the ground. And then there's a challenge for you. See if you can make the landing without crashing. I didn't get so lucky. I crashed, but it was awesome nonetheless. So here we go, 8,000 feet. Things are still looking good. We're at 250 knots. So what I'll start to do, I'll open the map, and I'm going to look here for the approach. And do I see KMDW? Do I see it? I don't. Once we get closer, we will then see KMDW, and we'll see how far we are away. So I think we got time for one more little song. Alright, we got a few problems. So our first problem here is we got to get the heck down in altitude. So let's get down to 2,000 feet right now. Flight level change. Let's go, guys. Let's go. We got to get down. Otherwise, we're not going to meet the glide slope. You can see we're above the glide slope here. We got to get down to meet the glide slope. So I selected my approach, KMDW 31 Charlie, ILS Cat 1. And you can see I need to be in the middle in order for me to get that accepted. So should be fun. Might make it, might not make it, might have to do a manual landing. See here, if you look here, guys, see the diamond here, this purple diamond? This purple diamond means I'm above the glide slope. I have to get below this purple diamond in order for the plane to automatically land itself through ILS. So it is what it is. Hopefully we get there. If not, we'll do a manual landing. All right. Landing gear down. Flaps down. There we go. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to turn the speed down here to 160 knots. I kind of spazzed out. 160 knots. Let's slow down a little bit, guys. Let's do a little dip here as well. And I'm going to turn off. There we go. Turn off the autopilot, guys. Turn off this. And we'll see what happens. I am going a little fast, so we'll see what happens. So you can see here below, if you're looking at the multifunction display, that I'm quite above the glide slope here.
500.
So I'm not coming in for a great landing, folks, so we're too fast. But we'll be able to recover this manually, and you'll see.
Hold on.
So what we'll do, there's a trick to that, is you kind of go like this, and you hover over the airport like this, and you'll start slowing down.
20, 10.
And that was way too rough. That was not what I was looking for, but hey, honesty is the best policy. So I might as well show you, the realness of my learning at the same time that you guys learn. So we'll recap here, folks, what went wrong. As you guys can hear, you can hear the great announcement lady on there. So we got a couple mistakes. Thanks for the tip there. Landing lights below 10,000 feet. Ian, I forgot about that. Thank you. So let's recap what happened. I tell you what happened. I didn't listen to what the flight management computer said. I made my own decision. And usually computers are right. So let's look at this. What did the flight management computer say that I should do? And if we go back here to the lags portion, and we go to the previous page, if it lets me, it wanted me to be about 2,100 feet when I came in. And I actually thought that that was too high. So I initially came in at 4,000, and then I was a bit low. So what I should have did is called it off. I should have did a turnaround, or basically like where I flew the pattern again and came back in. Never done that before, so we'll learn. We probably would have exploded the plane if it was a real simulator, but we learned. So I think our lesson for next time is listen to the flight management computer. If the flight management computer says come in at 2,100, you should probably come in at 2,100. Anyway, this was a flight from Toronto to Chicago. A little rough, but it was probably the first time I flew the 737 in a long time. I recommend that you guys definitely check it out, and let's check out those landing lights here. Let's see what they should be. There we go. They're on now. They should have been on below 10,000 feet, but they're on now. And you know, I appreciate you guys for flying with me tonight. I might do another one tomorrow night. If you guys have any preferences of where we should go, let me know. I'm always up for new trips. It gives me an opportunity to play with SimRoute and try out new things. And I might try this particular flight out again a little later and see if we can get the landing right, because I think we had everything else perfect. Everything, like the GPS lined us up perfectly. Everything worked great. The only difference is I came in too high for the glide slope. So I probably should have just did a go around and did another attempt, but you know, took my chance. And you make a decision, you get it wrong, that's what happens. So everybody have a great night. If you don't subscribe to my channel, please do. If you are a little bit confused from watching the flight management features of this video today, watch my flight management computer video. I also recently did one on the G1000 glass cockpit. Go ahead and watch that one as well. And I'm always looking for new tutorials. So if you guys have ideas, the next one that I'm going to be doing is the G1000 flight plan. So I gave a quick overview of the G1000, but I never really got into the weeds of showing people how to actually go in and build a really concrete flight plan, jetways, things like that. I was going to do an updated air traffic control video. I was going to do one specifically on approaches and departures and arrivals. So if you guys have any ideas of what the next one I should do, let me know. So that's it for me tonight, folks. Thanks for flying with me, and I'll see you another night.